You have entered the Arcade Cafe. Today, I'm appropriately finishing up a latte. On this rainy day, I am your host, Bryce Yoli, and I'm here with my pal and cousin-in-law and more eloquent co-host, Caleb James. And I'm
Hola.
seeing stars right now for some reason, so I might pass out during this episode.
That'd be fun. That'd be
Yeah,
something different. I'll take over if you pass out.
yeah. Just keep talking while I'm having a seizure over here. So just,
And now we're
don't worry
talking
about.
about butts.
Yeah. Here in the Arcade Cafe lies a short story size answer. A short story sized answer to those full length episodes of the main feature of Arcade Bookshop at only about 30 minutes in length, sometimes less if we're really good, but usually we're not. We bring you our current thoughts on our video game progress, our book progress, a little bit of video game news that is probably already a little old, occasional state of the podcast info, our wants, our needs, our private thoughts, our deepest, darkest secrets, and of course, the sweet nothings that Caleb whispers in the bedroom. Let's get down to business.
Mm-hmm.
Thought we'd start with some gaming news. I was looking at a video that it showed a bunch of the games that are coming out this month. There's a couple of really cool ones, mostly just little things that like marginal games that most people won't hear about. But there was one that stuck out to me. It looked really cool, actually, that you and Spencer might be interested in.
Ooh, okay.
Can I talk today?
No.
Um, it's called Sandland, and it's inspired by the Akira Toriyama manga, and it looks awesome.
Sandal.
Yeah, it has like the illustrations that look just like like Dragon Ball and like Chrono Trigger kind of, but it's like I think the characters are it looks sort of like cell shading, like comic shading,
Right.
like how Borderlands is. But the world looks really cool. I didn't look deep into it, but the video that was playing in the video I was watching, it looked
What's
pretty
this gonna
awesome.
be on?
I think
It looks cool.
I think it's on consoles.
You can
I
get it
don't
on
know if it's
Steam.
can you I don't know if it's exclusive to anything.
Yeah, it's definitely got it's got the Dragon Ball art style, but it's a little more, I guess, kid like cartoony. Say more cartoony,
Yeah.
but it looks cool.
Yeah, I think it looks awesome.
I never
I'd
heard of
dig that.
Sandland.
I haven't either, but it looks really cool. I think looks like an adventure game,
Mm.
but it looks solid. So I'm gonna look more into that, and actually maybe we'll talk more about it next week or something, or whenever it comes out. Um, Another thing, I got this news from Kotaku, the website. The majority of video game playtime in 2023 turns out it was mostly from games 6 years or older, and
Mm.
I thought that was interesting because 2023 had like it I mean, people argue that it is potentially the best year in gaming history because so many huge things came out, like Spider-Man 2, Super Mario RPG, I think Hogwarts Legacy came out last year, Modern Warfare 3, I mean, it's not a fantastic game, but it was a big game. Um, Starfield, so many things came out last year that we've been waiting on forever. So it's kind of shocking that most of the playtime last year was for older games. Now, it is it is interesting, but that also doesn't necessarily mean that they're playing old classic games. That just means that they're at least 6 years old. Most of the playtime is actually going to games like Fortnite and Roblox and like older Call of Duty games, things like that. So if you think about it, which they kind of commented on this in the Kotaku article, it sort of starts to spell trouble for developers because how can
Nobody's
they
buying new games, they're
yeah,
just buying old ones.
how can they compete with the new games they're trying to sell for like $70 that they put out every couple of years if these live service games are put out for free and updated all the time and they profit off of microtransactions all the time. So but they're free overall. And I play some of those. I mean, not all the time, but I have played some of those. Um, yeah, that's just shocking to me.
I'm not
I
shocked.
mean,
The state of the economy, like, the way that nobody can afford to live,
that part I'm
I
not
can't buy
shocked
a new
about.
yeah, I can't really buy new video games.
No, that part I'm not shocked about. I think it's just the fact that there were so many good things that came out last year, and I'm curious how they actually measured that because I mean, some of those games, like Baldur's Gate 3, some of those games are like that game that one in particular, Baldur's Gate is like 300 plus hours. I can't
Mm.
imagine how. I don't know. But then I also heard something about how I forget where I heard this about how a lot of the people who are playing Baldur's Gate 3 have only played it for like 12 hours.
So, basically didn't play the game.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't really understand how that
That
works.
can't
But
even get you past the intro probably.
oh no, that game is so. I mean, you could probably design your character for like 2 hours. Um, but yeah, interesting to think about. I mean, the other game, Starfield's a long game. I think people were playing that. I know it wasn't spectacular, but anyway, interesting little tidbit. Um, do you have anything before I go on?
I did, and I can't remember what it was, and I was looking for it, but I can't find it. When you look up video game news, it's like might as well be in a different language at this point. I have no idea what any of that stuff was. I was just reading.
Yeah, it was today in particular. I've been busy and I had absolutely nothing to talk about halfway through the day, and I just Googled a bunch of stuff and found some interesting things. But I, Caleb and I don't hyperfixate on news. I think we're both more focused on ourselves and creating before, we prioritize creativity before consumption, which
Mhm.
I try to live by that. So that's why I always say in the intro that this video game news is potentially already a little old because I don't really pay attention, but when I do look into it, I like to talk about it because it's interesting. If it's interesting. Um,
Most of the time when we come across news that's interesting, it's something that I'm not gonna play anyway, or if I
yeah,
do, it would be
right,
way in the future. Even if it's
right.
something I would like a new Grand Theft Auto, "Oh, here's a new trailer for it and stuff," and it's like, I'll watch it, but I probably will never play the game, or if I do, it's gonna be way, way down the line just because I don't have the time for that stuff anymore.
I know it's so frustrating. I I'm honestly still I'm honestly still like not done because there was a DLC that went with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm almost done with it finally, but I've been like it's fun, but I've been taking more time on it than I wish I was. I'm
You don't say.
I agree with you. I'm tired of talking about it.
God.
but but yeah, like these games just take so long, and that game isn't even that long compared to a lot of other ones. So
You figure though, a lot of the people that are actual gamers or hardcore gamers, that's what their hobby is or their output is. Like that's what they do. We are writers, so that comes first and foremost. That doesn't leave a lot of time to have something that's going to be a huge chunk of your day spent doing. So it's like, hey, do you want to watch movies, TV, read books, write, and play video games? Well, you could maybe do two if you're really good at your time and ignore your wife, maybe 3 of those things during the week, but you can't do them all.
yeah, having a relationship is a large factor in this, especially maintaining a podcast where we do both of those things.
Yes.
It becomes a challenge. It does. Um, but I still have two more things in gaming news. So they aren't a sponsor, and I don't think anyone will ever sponsor us. but if you want to, I'm I'm here to accept your sponsorship. But Game
That's
Informer
talking to you,
is
fleshlight.
uh Game Informer is starting to encourage people to buy their print magazine subscription more. I didn't even know that anyone was still printing gaming magazines.
What's the point? Other than the nostalgia factor, why?
I I don't know, I think it's part of I mean,
Collecting, maybe.
sales all but I think it's part of things that people want, like, there's more nostalgia, there's more like a craving for nostalgia now more than ever, I think.
Don't get me
Uh,
wrong, if I was an avid gamer that I could do this all the time, I would get something like that because I would enjoy that, but at the same time, I feel like you can look up everything you need online for free, not pay anything.
yeah, I agree, but also, I think it goes along with how frustrated people are not everybody, but a lot of people are frustrated with the fact that there's such a hard lean into gaming being digital only
Mm.
in the near future, and some games are doing that. I mean, I don't know a lot, but I know that Alan Wake so far has only been digital,
I
which
think
is a
that's
big
horse
game.
hockey. I don't like
I
it.
I do too because I didn't see a problem with it when I first started thinking about it, but I think first of all, when you have a digital game, you don't own it.
No.
Like if they it's just
They could
like
just gone. It could be
eh,
gone.
same with like buying movies on Prime or whatever. That if they feel like taking it off, you don't own it anymore and you spent $20 or whatever. And with the game it's like $70. So that's terrible. And not only that, but if it's only digital, you can't share it with friends, which I understand they don't want you to because of money, but you also don't have a collection and you don't have any nostalgia down the line. You don't have any it's valueless. It's worthless. Like
And they
you're
can change it whenever they want. So you brought up movies and TV shows. There's a lot of shows where they found that something an old episode was considered offensive in the modern light. So either they take the episode off or they edit the episode and put it back up. And then you never get the original episode unless you bought the actual physical DVD set.
yeah, it's jacked up. It's like the stuff they do to well, I mean, I don't know if it's still a conspiracy theory or not, but uh what they do to Disney movies. Have you seen that? Where they like a guy said that he was paid to add chemtrails in the back in the sky in certain Disney movies
Why? Out of all the things, why chemtrails?
so that people think they were always there and they don't question it as much.
You think that's the real, source of the Mandela effect where it's like, "No, this thing that when I was a kid, I know for a fact was real," but then everyone looks for it now and there's no sort like, "Oh, the fruit of the loom, it didn't have a cornucopia actually. We all thought it did, but the logo was just fruit. Never had the cornucopia. Ah, it's just the Mandela effect." Or do you think they actually just go back and say, "Nah, I'm taking that out." Who's gonna know?
Yeah, well, actually, I don't know if I already told you, but the cornucopia thing has sort of been proven that they tried to cover it up
Have
and
they? The
confuse
big
us.
fruit of the loom?
Yeah, this because this girl was I heard this on a different podcast. This girl was like freaking out because she was confident that she has seen the like the actual basket with in the illustration of the cornucopia, and everyone was like, "No, it's never been there." And Fruit of the Loom says it's never been there, and they even showed like their patent or whatever the word is for all their images, and it's not there. But eventually, through like having her friends look through their clothes and like going on the internet and stuff, eventually
Listen,
someone
Bryce, I'm
finally
gonna
found a
stop you right
shirt.
there. No, just quit it. Just quit it. It's easier to fake the one shirt than it is to fake all the other stuff of it not existing. For instance, all these images I'm
Dude, I have that
seeing
in
of
my
the
brain too,
logos.
though. I have that. I remember it.
Do
I
you
remember
remember? But
exactly
go in your closet
before.
and find that shirt then. I want proof.
I bet my mom could find one in my
I
closet at
don't
home.
want some random lady on the internet going, "Ooh, look, there's a cornucopia that I printed yesterday." Fuck that lady. I want you, Bryce,
Well,
to tell your mom to bring you that shirt now or old
do
underpants
you
with
not
skid
remember
marks
what
and
it
all.
looks like? Because I remember exactly what it looks like.
Oh, I remember what it looks like. I just don't know if I trust my memory.
Well, I trust my memory before I trust
Big
anyone,
corporate.
yeah, telling me that I'm wrong. Yeah. So I don't know. Who knows? But I think they f with us,
I
and
think
that's
they
a
did. I think that cornucopia definitely existed because it doesn't even look right without it. Like, this
right.
logo without the cornucopia that people see, it's come on,
Yeah,
looks like shit.
yeah. I
The Berenstein thing, I could understand that maybe that's, like, a real, like, Mandela effect, but a lot of these I think are actual hog shit. Like, I think these companies just, for whatever reason, change the logo and do the copyright stuff. They're just like, "Well, no, we can't admit that there was a different logo." They just won't.
yeah.
They refuse.
Or the real conspiracy theory view is that uh the government is doing it to test how 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 well they can f with our minds in like little tiny ways so they can gradually do bigger things.
Or more likely, the people at Fruit of the Loom were like, "Hey, there's a quick way to get free advertising." Let's just say the
True.
cornucopia never existed, and now everyone's looking at Fruit of the Loom and talking about it.
This really escaped my grasp here, but this this got out of hand. So we were talking about Game Informer printing a magazine.
Why? Good
But,
God, why?
anyway, I just think it would be it's they apparently they've been doing it. I think they're just wanting to do it more, and I think it's cool. It'd be cool if it got if there's just something like more romantic about having physical things, just like we want physical print copies of our literary magazines.
I want
So,
fucking magazines to come back with actual fiction stories and stuff in them, like
yeah,
Playboy, but not just nudie images. Like, they had good stories. Like, I
yeah,
want that to come back,
mhm.
but it won't.
It could. You never know.
Maybe
It
if
may
we have a solar flare and it gets rid of the internet for a little bit.
Yeah, and you never know if it'll come like, maybe they'll figure out a way to print without it being, quote, unquote, "harmful to the environment" and having to use trees to
They
print
don't
on
give a
paper and
shit
everything like
about
that.
the environment, they never did.
I I'm
They just
just
don't
sa
wanna spend money, they just wanna get as much money as possible without spending money.
I'm just advocating for anybody who's thinking in those terms, but
They're
uh,
recyclable, they're paper. It's made of paper, you can recycle paper.
alright, agreed. Um, but also in terms of physical things being better, I probably already said it on here, but I recently bought an actual chessboard and took it into the office to play with my coworker. So we sat it at a in an empty cube on the desk. So whenever we're just taking a break or we have free time, we just go over and make moves. And it's so much better. It's just so much better. And I play better too. I beat him twice in a row for the first time since we've started playing, but only on the physical board.
Mhm.
I think I still suck on the app, but
There's
it's just
something weird about being able to see the moves highlighted on the app. Like, if you click on a piece, it'll show you where you're able to move, and that just I think sometimes I feel like that actually makes you make the wrong move because you see things that you would normally wouldn't see because it's
right.
probably a bad move, but you're like, "Oh, here's all the things. Oh, I could connect this and that," and it just fucks you up versus going with
Yeah,
your instinct.
it's distracting, and because it's less physical, I think your mind makes that like, subconsciously makes that connection like it's not really real, and then you just make haphazard moves on the go, and you don't fucking think about what you're doing, and you lose.
Exactly.
Um, I even beat him without, I lost my queen at one point, and I still beat him, which I don't I rarely am able to do that, so I felt good. My last bit of gaming news, I think you might be interested in this, I'm not sure, but they're remaking Silent Hill 2. Did you play Silent
Ooh.
Hill?
Yes, I did a long time ago.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that, and it's supposed to come out this year. Um, we don't know exactly when, but it just received its ESRB rating of M, so it's on the
Nice.
way, and it looks pretty cool. So we'll be looking out for that. I I thought there wasn't really anything coming out this year, but there's already been a few things, so it might be another not as good as last year, but it might be another decent year. So that's our gaming coverage for the day. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Moving
Yeah.
on to writing and reading. Do you think that we will ever have, like, actual book news? Like, new
Like
things
our
that are coming
books?
out? No,
Oh,
well,
no, never.
yeah. It's funny, as we always talk about, like, what's new in gaming? And then we're like, "I've been reading this book that's 100 years old."
Richard
'Cause
Chismar's got some great deals going on over at Cemetery Dan's.
oh, yeah?
He has these $100 bundles that are he's only charging $50 for. Let me bring up the email. I really had no interest in getting any of the stuff, but just for the fact that it was, what do you get? You get a trade hardcover, a trade paperback, a back issue of Cemetery Dance magazine, and a chat book, plus an out of print signed limited edition hardcover, all for $50.
Does he run that?
That's his thing. I don't know if he like is in charge of it anymore, but yeah,
Oh,
he started it.
I didn't know that.
But that would be fucking awesome to get all that stuff. I might still do that. It's actually a good deal. I don't know what books
How
you get.
how much was it?
$50 plus shipping, which is like another 11, but even so, like that's a good bit of stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Especially when the magazine itself, you go on Amazon and get an old issue for like $12 or something. So
How long has that been around? I'm pretty sure I've known of that for a while.
Cemetery Dance since
Yeah.
the late 80s when he created it in his garage.
Wow, that's awesome. I never knew that's yeah, like, you talked about him on DPW and stuff. I never knew that's what he did. But what are you reading now that you finished Don Quixote?
I have been working my way through the Sailor Steve Costigan stories by Robert E. Howard.
Mm,
They're a lot of fun, bit racist, a lot of racist, very racist, kind of racist, and there's a lots of punching, mostly punching.
fascinating.
I'm
That
enjoying
sounds
them because they're so stupid that I don't have to think, and it's really nice after reading the Divine Comedy to not think about what I'm reading.
so you're saying it's filled with literary merit.
Sure is.
Wonderful.
I wish I had it down here. I'd read an excerpt because it is brilliant.
I like a good literary boxing book.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
just rolling around, punching,
There's a lot of heart punches,
like,
like 10 heart punches per story.
heart punches?
Yeah, always punching people in the heart. He's so
Like,
far, I'm on, like, the 4th or 5th story, and I think he's had his ear punched off, like, 8 times.
ear punched off?
He gets his ear punched and it, like, comes half off.
And they keep reattaching it.
Yeah, I guess.
Or just
And he's had all his eyes and his lips, and he's splattering blood, and everything swelled, and ribs broken. Guy should have been dead after the first fight, let alone all the other fights.
Jesus.
So it's fun.
I've never read anything like that.
It's old pulp stuff. It's fun. So, like I
Yeah.
said, it's nice to just turn off your brain sometime and read stuff like that. There's a couple other. I thought about either reading Othello or maybe just diving into the Paradise Lost while I'm reading these stories. So maybe I'll start that like this weekend or something. But uh, there's a writer, Paul Jameson. I read his book last year, Life of Maggot, and I really liked it because it was so different from anything I've ever read. And he actually had a book before that called Nightjar, and I bought that, and it's been sitting on my shelf, so I might read that too. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
It he it's a lot like at least Life of Maggot was written in a medieval post-apocalyptic style with Celtic origins. You can't really
That's
imagine what it's how it's written, but it's really cool. Like I really was digging it.
very involved.
Yeah.
I can't even I no, I couldn't read Paradise Lost right now. Dude, well, next time I read something remotely like epic poetry or whatever after reading the Divine Comedy, I have no idea when that will be because that was fucking miserable.
We still gotta do an episode on that.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's on you. Just let me know. But
it's just it's hard to wanna do that, you know?
I know.
It's like diving right back into the whorehouse that you escaped from.
But yeah, I don't know how you would read Paradise Lost right now. I saw that at Barnes and Noble the other day, and I was like, ugh, that looks thick. That
It's
looks dense.
more difficult than the Divine Comedy, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Like,
why would you
way
want to
more
do that to
difficult.
yourself right now? I would give myself like a year.
At least it's written in English.
I guess.
I don't know. Like I said, I might just go with Shakespeare just for something short, but
Yeah, Othello's
I
good.
don't know. I'm gonna keep reading these Robert E. Howard stories. My problem is because this year my original plan was to go full pulp and read a bunch of pulp stuff and old sci-fi, but I didn't finish my last year's reading goal yet. I still have Paradise Lost and Ulysses to read, but I feel like that might take the whole year. Like,
Yeah.
so I
I
don't want
mean,
to
I
just
would
waste my year, you know?
well, just update your goals to those 2 for this year, and then you're good.
Fuck
But
that.
we're at 25 minutes, so real quick, you wanna talk about your new publications?
I don't remember. I mentioned the Dark Home Publishing last episode, right?
Yeah, I think
That was
so, but
last
you got
week's news.
so you got this new one just the other day.
Yeah, I think I can announce it because in the email he said he was gonna announce it this week. I guess whoever got in. It is I'm gonna bring it up official. Um, Mad Axe Media. This is the story I actually had to withdraw from Southwest Fiction, Southeast. I forget the name of it. It's a prestigious fucking magazine, but I think I told you off air. I was sitting there since 2022, and then when I finally withdrew the story from them, it said on the initial email when I initially submitted that they'd get back to me within a week. They never got back to me.
It's
Um,
outrageous.
yeah, so this is Mad Axe Media. The anthology is you'll like the name of my story, by the way. So for the submission title, the friendly title, I only submitted this 3 times. One that I never, the one I withdrew, to this one, and then to As Alive Journal, which they said they were already full when I submitted. It's called The Haunted Pillow, but the actual title, the alternate title, is The House of Shit, and it's based on a very
Oh,
real
yeah.
experience I had during coronavirus. Where
You told me
me
about
and my
this, yeah.
yeah, me and my buddy went to Virginia Beach, and everything was all not closed up, but it might as well been, and we went to a haunted house, and literally the guy who worked there just kept walking through going, "This is the house of shit," and it was terrible. So I based a story on that, and, that got accepted to by Mad Axe Media for their Readings from Cursed Room 301 anthology, and the anthology is about uh, I guess reinventing tropes, like horror tropes, and it's supposed to be it's like a professor in a classroom is I forget exactly how it goes. It was pretty intricate, but it's like a professor and basically I don't know if he's calling on students or something, but people have stories. So it's like a overall narration that goes like combines all the stories together. But like the tropes for my story, I had the story written for years, so I never did anything with it because the name was so stupid. I had enough to do with it, and the premise was kind of dumb, but it actually turned out to be a perfect take on not just the haunted house trope, which is what it is, but jump scares, like how
Mm,
stupid jump scares can be, and that's like the main thing is you always think a jump scare is gonna come, and it's so dumb, and it never really does, and then when it does, it's the fucking stupidest thing.
yeah.
So I don't know. I thought when I reread it, when I submitted it to that, I was like, "Oh, this is actually pretty good." It's stupid, but it's good. So,
Yeah.
I was
That's fun.
surprised because I thought it was just dog shit
Well,
originally.
you're on a roll, so Caleb's
Yeah,
doing well
that's
with his publications this
I
year.
seem to be getting
Very
one every
good.
week. How about you, Bryce? You be getting one every week?
Ah, fuck off. I'm getting sick of
Wow.
this shit, and I don't wanna mope about it, but I did start a short story for the first time in ages, and I'm feeling okay about it. I feel like it's coming out more natural than any short story I've ever tried my hand at before. So I'm hopeful that I could finish that in a day or 2, and I can have something different for once instead of just writing my typical poems and junk. So,
Yeah, do that. Fiction's way better. Fiction's
I wanna
cooler, man.
I like doing both, so I wanna do both, but that's all I'm gonna talk about for myself today, but just a reminder, Arcade Bookshop will have a table this year at Three Rivers Comicon in Pittsburgh, the weekend of June 1st. So, bare minimum, we'll have stickers for everybody who stops by
Stickers.
and talks to me. I had big plans for a fun setup, but the cost of electricity at that convention is outrageous. So I decided to forego that, but maybe I'll have some like handheld systems or something for people to stop by and play a game with me while we talk about the podcast or something.
You better tie 'em to the table or they're gonna steal them.
Yeah, we'll see. But if I even do that. But
Yeah,
anyway,
the
I'll
old
have
shitty Etch-a-Sketch.
but I'll have stickers and it'll be we can chat. So, anything else, Caleb?
Let's see. No,
All
I got
right.
anything
I
else.
have other stuff, but I'll save everybody's time and save it for next time. So, stay tuned this Monday, April 8th, for another regular episode of Arcade Bookshop. It is the sister episode to our conversation about A Memoir Blue, and we're discussing The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner, and it is cool. Then after that, come on back next Friday for another episode of Arcade Cafe. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You've just spent some time in the arcade cafe, and we hope you enjoyed yourself. I'm Bryce Yoli with my pal and cousin-in-law Caleb James, and we will see you next week.